On his first day of school, 17-year-old wimpy Derek rejects the beauty's offer to be his sugar mama. But to his shock, the obsessive beauty actually follows him all the way home. She offers him 100,000 yuan per hour just to hang out with her. Just as Derek questions where a student could possibly have that much money, Khloe opens her phone to reveal an incredibly long string of digits in her account balance. The next second, Derek's phone buzzes with a notification. 100,000 yuan deposited. This sudden turn of events throws me into an internal struggle. If I accept and my classmates find out I sold myself for money, I'll be a laughingstock forever. But 100,000 yuan per hour is simply too much to refuse. Yet when the genius beauty reaches for my hand, I still can't accept this kind of love bought with money. I reject her, saying I just lost my mind for a moment, and I'll return every penny, so she should leave immediately. Hearing this, Khloe is furious. She pulls out a tarot card and slaps it across my face. She says when I'm about to die anyway, what's the point of having pride? As soon as she finishes speaking, her eyes become almost crazed. Since you're going to die anyway, just give me your body. I'm horrified and confused about what she means. But the next second, she grabs my arm directly. With overwhelming force, she yanks me down to the ground. This is clearly not the strength a frail girl should possess, and right now I can clearly feel my entire arm being gripped by countless hands. I look closely and realize it's not Khloe's hand holding me, but several pale hands locking my arm in place, and Khloe in front of me has transformed into a pale maiden ghost. In this instant, my eyes widen in shock. What the hell, this can't be a joke. The maiden ghost shyly covers her face, saying it's all because I didn't hold her hand in time. I'm already drenched in sweat, wondering if this is some kind of cosplay, but when I see Khloe's trembling legs, I know she's a complete monster. The maiden ghost releases my arm and says she'll ask me one last time, will I give her my body? She gives me 3 seconds to consider. Then she starts counting down on her own. As soon as she finishes, I quickly turn around. Terrified, I have only one thought: run. When the maiden ghost counts to 1, I'm already running forward with all my might. Seeing her prey trying to escape, the maiden ghost chases from behind. Until this moment, I can only believe this is all a dream. The next second, the maiden ghost throws a punch at my escape path. As I stumble and fall, she uses her other hand to lift me up. But at the same time, her lower body slips on a banana peel. We both crash to the ground together, allowing me to break free from her grip, but the pain in my back from the shockwave is incredibly real. This makes me realize this isn't a dream. If I get caught, I'll definitely die. With this thought, I bolt into a narrow alley, thinking such a narrow space should keep her out. But just as I collapse on the ground and let my guard down, a voice behind me says, "You think I can't get in?" She covers her face with one eye showing, appearing above my head, saying she's really angry because she's clearly very thin. I stagger to my feet, preparing to run again, but my legs won't obey because of fear. The maiden ghost reaches out her hand, saying, "Poor Derek, living in a dirty semi-basement without parents. You hide it from your friends out of shame, right? Living so miserably, why keep going?" I look at her hands about to engulf me and shout for help, but the empty street and passing cars seem to ignore my cries. She lifts my face straight, saying no one will come to save me. Stop clinging to life. Just agree, and she'll live out the rest of my life for me. But just as she's about to completely take control of my body, I break free from her arms. A surge of power erupts from my body as I frantically escape forward. This enrages the maiden ghost, her eyes flashing red with fury. While grabbing at me, she says, "Why do you still struggle desperately? I didn't say I'd kill you. Just give me your body and you'll be free like Khloe." But how could I believe her lies? I run forward even harder. But just as I'm about to exit the alley, the maiden ghost tears my arm clean off. The maiden ghost looks at the severed limb in her hand with instant horror. I'm the one whose arm was ripped off. Yet the maiden ghost is even more furious than me, saying my body is completely ruined now. What should she do? She frantically pounds the ground, venting her emotions. Meanwhile, lying in a pool of blood, my consciousness begins to fade from the pain. I really might die. But thinking carefully about my previous life, there doesn't seem to be much meaning to keep living. Breaking down, she thinks since she can't have it, she'll just devour it. As she opens her massive mouth to swallow me, a patter-patter of water sounds approaches. A small white dog pounces at the maiden ghost's open mouth. Then a blade of light pierces through her skull. In an instant, her entire body is split in half. A handsome figure stands before me. Through my blurry vision, I see him shake the blood off his large blade. Then he says something about counting the days. "Happy birthday, my descendant." When I open my eyes again, I'm drenched in sweat. Opening my phone, it's already 11 in the morning, and there are missed calls from classmates and my homeroom teacher. Startled, I quickly get up, confused about how it's almost noon. I frantically search for my school uniform, trying to remember what time I went to bed. But suddenly remembering something, I freeze. I remember Khloe came looking for me yesterday, and a monster tore off my arm. Thinking of this, I quickly check my hand. I try clenching my fist and find nothing wrong. Just as I'm puzzled about what's going on, my homeroom teacher calls. Afterwards, I rush to school in a hurry. At the school entrance stands a tall nude statue. A worker is complaining about how this damn flagpole keeps getting pulled out, wondering which bastard keeps doing it. Once inside the school, I slow my pace, forcing myself to stay calm, wondering if Khloe has also made it to school. When I arrive at the hallway during break, students are gradually preparing to eat lunch. Two of Khloe's friends nearby are discussing how Khloe has changed, and she hasn't done their tarot reading today yet. From what they're saying, Khloe has already arrived at school, so I glance through the window toward Khloe's classroom. Her interactions with classmates seem quite normal. This leaves me puzzled, wondering whether to directly ask her about what happened yesterday. Two classmates' voices come from behind me, saying only delinquent students show up at noon, and you come straight to see your girlfriend. We were worried for nothing, you delinquent. I'm about to explain it's not what they think, but then I lock eyes with Khloe. Khloe's eyes widen when she sees me, and I'm so startled I crouch down and choose to hide. I crawl on the ground, slowly moving toward the classroom. Things between Khloe and me aren't what everyone thinks. When I first met her yesterday, I just helped pick up her dropped tarot cards, but when I returned them, she touched my palm, and she blushed, looking embarrassed. Just as I wondered why she did that, she calmly guessed today is my birthday, and asked if I wanted to draw a tarot card to check my fortune, but I wasn't interested, and fooling around with classmates made me leave quickly. But from then on, Khloe became relentless. She repeatedly told classmates she's my girlfriend. Whenever she had time, she couldn't wait to find me, and there were the classic student pursuit items, milk and love letters. This made everyone believe she's my girlfriend. Despite my clear rejections multiple times, she remained unmoved. She even followed me home. Then all those previous events happened. I feel like I have amnesia. I clearly remember being severely injured, but I can't remember what happened after, how I got home, and what that monster really was. If it was a dream, everything would make sense. But the transfer record from Khloe is real. Should I go find her and ask? But thinking it over, forget it. After all, I'm not missing any limbs. Later, because I was late, the homeroom teacher called me to the office for questioning. After learning I just overslept, she let me return to class. On the way, I look at my phone time thinking I haven't really attended any classes today. Khloe suddenly appears, startling me. She explains she didn't mean to scare me, but heard from classmates I went to the office, so she's been waiting here. I say, hey, the class bell already rang. Is stalking your hobby? Can you be normal? But suddenly I notice the surroundings are completely empty, and remembering what happened yesterday, I'm scared and immediately step back, saying, wait, let's talk somewhere with more people. I'm not scared, just worried you might suddenly turn on me. Hearing this, Khloe anxiously explains she won't. She was possessed by a ghost then. But just as she keeps apologizing to me, I suddenly see the statue from the school entrance has appeared here. Puzzled, I say, isn't that the statue from the main gate? It wasn't here just now. How did it suddenly appear in this spot? But the next second, the statue raises its rear end. Then, without warning, charges at us. Though I don't understand the situation, instinct makes me run. I ask Khloe if she's pulling another trick. She answers it's not her, but I think she's making excuses. After all, didn't she do that to me yesterday? Khloe explains that wasn't actually her doing, but a ghost called the maiden ghost who caused it all. I tell her to stop talking and just run. Compared to the statue's speed, at this rate we'll soon be caught. Then I see the basketball cart nearby and get an idea. I quickly push the basketball cart in the opposite direction, then use all my strength to scatter a cart of basketballs on the ground to stop its charge. But the statue looks at this scene without slowing down at all. It performs a perfect long jump over the basketball obstacle, landing with a sharp break, simultaneously transitioning to a perfect pose with arms spread, as if listening for applause. I remind Khloe we need to get to a crowded place, but she stops and rummages through her pocket. Then she pulls out a bag of something like broad beans. Under my puzzled gaze, she throws them at the charging statue. Seeing this, lightning flashes in the statue's eyes. The next second, it strikes with extreme speed, batting all the beans back. I grab Khloe, who's still frozen in place, calling her an idiot and asking what she's doing, and push her outside the iron gate. Just as the nude statue approaches, I slam the gate shut. We both pant heavily, looking at each other, not daring to relax. The statue looks at the closed iron bars and stops. It lowers its head and starts walking back, just as we think it's given up. Suddenly, the flagpole in the distance shakes. Then we see the statue carrying a flagpole charging at us again. It looks like it plans to use pole vaulting to jump over. Seeing this, I look around for something useful. I spot a garbage cart nearby. At this moment, the statue uses the flagpole as a vaulting pole, leaping high and displaying the graceful, professional movements of an athlete in the air. But as it's about to land, I push the garbage cart, shouting for Khloe to get out of the way. Then, timing it right, I push it hard. This causes the landing statue to fall right into the garbage cart. The momentum causes it to overturn. All the garbage spills out, covering the statue completely. The thick, pungent smell makes both Khloe and me feel nauseous, but this completely enrages the statue. Before Khloe and I can react, the statue dashes right in front of me. Then it grabs my neck with one hand. It forcefully lifts me up. Its cold, hateful eyes look like they want to tear me apart immediately, its hand continuously tightening, trying to end my life. Seeing this, Khloe frantically searches through her pocket again. Then she pulls out a walnut bead bracelet. She shouts for the statue to look in her direction, and throws the walnut bracelet with all her might. Unexpectedly, it actually works. The bracelet hits the statue's face and explodes with repelling force. The statue immediately covers its eyes in pain. I manage to break free. We quickly escape while the statue hasn't recovered yet. After reaching a safe place, I scold Khloe for not taking that thing out earlier. Khloe silently lights an incense stick, saying it's a simple remedy, and pulls out a colored cloth strip from her pocket. Under my puzzled gaze, she tears it in half. She ties the other half tightly around my wrist, saying nothing will happen temporarily this way, warning me not to untie it before midnight. Watching her puzzling behavior, I can't help but ask if she's really sick. Khloe touches her ear, looking embarrassed, saying it's normal for me to suspect her, but she really didn't do anything, and hopes I can talk with her after school. But I refuse without hesitation, saying even if she was possessed yesterday and today was coincidence, so what? It's all because I got involved with her that these weird things keep happening to me. Then I coldly tell her I hope we never cross paths again. Watching my departing figure, Khloe lowers her head in disappointment. Time passes quickly. In the blink of an eye, it's dismissal time, and I rush home immediately. As I enter the door code, I see the colored cloth strip tied on my wrist, recalling Khloe's warning not to untie it before midnight. I think she's trying to pull another trick, so I unhesitatingly untie it and throw it in the trash. After I enter my dim home and turn on the light, I'm startled by the little white dog sitting on the bed. Too many bizarre things have happened these past 2 days, making my nerves extra sensitive. I found this little dog on the roadside before. Seeing it had similar circumstances to mine, I brought it home. Thinking it must be hungry, I give it a plate of sausages. Then I prepare to order my own dinner on my phone, but suddenly the little dog speaks. Get me something better to eat, not always sausages. But I'm too hungry now, so I won't complain. Hearing someone suddenly speak, I stand up and look around, wondering who's talking. At this moment, the dog speaks again. You can finally hear me, but I look at the little dog in disbelief. I lift it high, checking left and right to see if someone's playing a prank. Suddenly the dog shouts, "How dare you!" This confirms the dog is really talking. Am I really going crazy? Could it be schizophrenia? The dog says, "It seems you're denying reality." As soon as it finishes speaking, the drawer nearby rattles. Then a blood-stained piece of clothing flies out at me. I look at the torn, blood-stained corner and immediately throw it away in fright. I remember yesterday when the maiden ghost tore off my arm. Instinctively, I grip my arm and ask in horror who it is. But the little dog asks back who I am, why I can walk and talk. This confuses me completely. Shouldn't that be my line? Then the dog continues, saying to call the others, like the one who birthed me. He wants to understand some things from the family. I answer that there are none. The dog looks shocked, saying the family is gone? What about other family members? I stand up angrily, saying I don't know. And what have you been talking about since the beginning? The little dog scolds me for being disrespectful while wondering, judging from how I revived after receiving his power, he shouldn't have found the wrong place. What happened to the family during his absence? Thinking this, his expression suddenly turns serious. Kid, I'm your ancestor. As soon as he finishes, I freeze on the spot. If this dog is my ancestor, doesn't that mean I'm a dog too, you idiot? The dog immediately jumps up angrily, saying he's not a dog. It's not the dog talking, but you can hear my voice. After hearing this, I stop arguing, saying regardless, you're still a dog now. So ancestor dog, what do you want? I don't have money for rituals or offerings. If you need help, go find other descendants. This makes the ancestor so angry he circles on the bed. Watching him, I'm afraid he wants to pee, so I point toward the bathroom, saying it's over there. But then he stops. This time he's not angry, but asks with a heavy expression if the family no longer worships him. What family? I have no idea. Do you mean relatives? There are none. The ancestor says, then let me assist him from now on. I directly kick him to the ground, saying, I don't care if you're my ancestor, just get out. The ancestor lying on the ground says he saved my life, and I'm so ungrateful. I thank him and then ask him to leave, saying I'm a poor student with no money or ability, while searching on my phone for talking dog. At this moment, the ancestor suddenly hears something. His ears perk up immediately, looking alertly out the window. Then he starts barking toward the outside. I look at him speechlessly, asking why he's barking again. The ancestor says there's something filthy outside, asking what I brought back. I tell him not to talk nonsense. There's nothing there. But the ancestor jumps onto my face, telling me to go outside quickly, just as I think he's trying to scare me. Suddenly, a loud crash makes me freeze. The ancestor anxiously pulls my face, urging me to go outside. Afterwards, I take the ancestor outside to the stairway, following his directions. Sure enough, the school statue from daytime now appears at the entrance. Terrified, I immediately hide, saying it's our school statue, but I don't know why it suddenly became a monster. The ancestor says that's not a monster but a spirit. Spirits are beings that possess non-living objects, so they come in various forms. There are countless spirits in this land. You can understand them as part of nature, but some parts of nature are remarkably crafted indeed. But why is it angry at you? Spirits are gentle by nature. They rarely get angry. I recall the scene of dumping him in the garbage cart, but just as I answer that it attacked us first, the ancestor shouts for me to look ahead. The statue spirit breaks through the door and charges at us. Fortunately, with the ancestor's warning, I dodge in time, avoiding the statue's fierce attack. At the same time, the ancestor shouts, asking what I'm standing there for, telling me to run. Watching him turn around to face the statue spirit alone, I ask what he's doing, but the ancestor slightly turns his dog head, saying, didn't I hear him tell me to run? Hearing this, I stop thinking and run backward, recalling how he said he's my ancestor. Could he really have some skills? At this moment, the statue spirit has already risen, preparing to attack again. A dog leg lightly taps the ground. The ancestor erupts with a violent aura. Red lightning continuously flashes and emanates from his dog body. He opens his massive mouth as if he could tear the opponent apart instantly. But the next second, there's just a little dog barking continuously at the statue. The statue spirit casually swats him away. After several impacts, he follows my footsteps and runs. I look at the ancestor running over, puzzled, asking what he did. The ancestor looks embarrassed, saying, why am I still here? I say it hasn't even been 10 seconds since he told me to run. This makes me complain about what skills he has, claiming he saved me yesterday. But as soon as I finish, the statue spirit approaches from behind and lifts me up. Fortunately, my unbuttoned uniform lets me escape, though this makes me fall hard. The statue spirit stares at the uniform torn off in its hand, frozen for a moment. Then it actually puts it on itself. The moment it zips up the uniform, it shows an unprecedented smile. Then it crouches on the ground again in a running start position. Under the ancestors and my incredulous gazes, it launches itself forward. But just as it approaches us, rune formations suddenly project outward. The statue spirit is blasted back by the power of the runes. This shocks both the ancestor and me. Khloe appears, holding a speaker in one hand and a phone in the other, runes rippling around her body. Her phone plays an 8-hour Master Sutra recording. As the Bluetooth speaker continuously outputs, the statue spirit falls painfully to the ground, its entire body engulfed in flames. Watching this scene, I can't help but ask how amazing this is. The raging flames continuously scorch the statue spirit, just as we think it will be destroyed. It actually stands up with sharp eyes, enduring the burning flames. Seeing this, Khloe is about to retreat, but unexpectedly, the statue charges forward, its furious fist already right in front of her. At the critical moment, I rush forward and use my body to block this strike for Khloe. The tremendous impact sends us both crashing to the ground. Then the statue spirit raises its large foot. It stomps and crushes the Bluetooth speaker playing the sutra. In an instant, the flames burning it gradually dissipate. It grabs a handful of stones from the shattered ground, crushes them into a ball in its hand, and makes a shot-put throwing preparation stance. Under our shocked gazes, it hurls the crushed stones at us with full force. The dense shower of stones makes it impossible for us to dodge, countless hits landing all over our bodies. Some even explode with missile-like power. Enduring the severe pain, I slowly get up, looking at the statue spirit continuously approaching. I call out to Khloe that we need to run quickly. But at this moment, Khloe pulls out some incense sticks again, and tries to light them with a lighter that keeps sparking. She seems completely unable to hear my calls. At this time, the statue spirit lifts a small car with both hands and approaches Khloe. Seeing this, I rise furiously. While running toward Khloe with all my strength, I shout, "You wanted to come out, so you should help us, ancestor." Then I leap forward, trying to shield Khloe from all this. But the next second, I arrive in a strange space. The surroundings completely changed. Khloe, the statue spirit, and the ancestor all disappear. Just as I search for them, a suddenly appearing voice startles me. "Have you finally felt the urgency?" I instinctively think it's the ancestor's voice. But when I turn around, I see a man in strange clothing. I curiously ask who he is. The man says, "Can't you even recognize my voice, descendant?" After hearing this, I look at the man's handsome face, which suddenly overlays with a dog face. I say incredulously, "Ancestor?" The man says that's right, he's my ancestor. He explains that at the beginning of ancient times, there were 12 gods, and he is dragon god Chen, who governs dragons. As he speaks, he grasps my hand, and a dazzling light flashes. As the radiant power continuously gathers, a weapon forms in my hand. With the words, "Now I'll lend you my power," my consciousness returns to reality, the cleaver blade in my hand already taking initial form. The moment before the car crashes down, the cleaver blade activates. One strike directly splits the falling car. At the critical moment, the statue spirit hunches over, only getting its uniform torn. I also fall to the ground from the intense momentum. Just as I ask in amazement how the car split in half, I hear the ancestor shout, "What are you standing there for? Get up and take it down." But when I try to pick up the blade, I find I can't lift it at all. At this moment, the statue spirit has already charged at me. It slams me into a pile of debris nearby. Just as it's about to make its next move, a dog shadow flashes past me. It pounces fiercely at the statue spirit's face and shouts for me to hurry now. Unexpectedly, I grab the large blade and run backward. Seeing this, the statue spirit pulls off the dog with one hand and leaps toward me with head held high and arms spread. At this moment, I swing the cleaver with all my strength, but it dodges with the same movement as before. Khloe nearby, holding 2 incense sticks, cheers for me, but the terrifying weight of the cleaver makes it impossible for me to control, and I can only swing it wildly. But unexpectedly, the cleaver slips from my hand. The statue spirit dodges sideways. The flying cleaver spins and cuts down the potted plants on the high wall. Colorful petals flutter down on us during the chase. The statue spirit looks at the falling petals, its eyes frozen. Its thoughts return to the moment of its birth. Its prototype was an excellent foreign athlete, crafted by the nation's top sculptor. When first established, it was adored by countless people. People took commemorative photos in front of it. It enjoyed all the applause and attention. But when that athlete gradually aged and faded from view, it also lost all that glory. At this moment, watching the flowers drifting by, it seems to carry the old man's thoughts back to the arena. My figure completely disappears from its world. It runs freely forward until it breaks through the parking barrier. At this moment, in that arena, it crosses the finish line and wins the championship again, biting the gold medal, enjoying the camera's gaze, publishing an autobiography, signing autographs at book signings, meeting young fans and taking photos with them. In this moment, it completes its mission and dream. The ancestor and I watch completely confused. Khloe, still holding incense, has the same expression. Under our puzzled gazes, its form completely dissipates into this world. I ask in confusion what just happened. The ancestor answers that it seems after achieving its purpose, it returned to its original place. He said before that spirits aren't dangerous beings provided you follow their rules. That's why he asked me before if I offended that statue. After returning home, the stabbing pain in my chest makes me wonder if my ribs are broken. But the ancestor completely ignores me. Instead, he asks Khloe if she's hurt. After hearing this, Khloe fidgets with her fingers. Then she directly bows to the ancestor, saying, "You're Derek's ancestor, right?" At the same time, the damage caused by the battle outside is gradually being repaired. 3 children walk past that street, laughing and chatting. After hearing Khloe's words, the ancestor says, "So you can see me, are you a witch?" Khloe lowers her head and answers no, she's just a witch's daughter. As she speaks, her face flushes red, saying, "Last time you saved me from the maiden ghost's hands, but I passed out and didn't get to thank you, so thank you very much." At this moment, I ask Khloe in surprise, "You can hear what this dog is saying too?" After getting her affirmative answer, I breathe a sigh of relief. It seems I don't have rabies. But the dog asks at this time how she knew he's my ancestor. Khloe answers with a blush, "Because you're so similar." Then she shyly lowers her head, asking me if I can't see the ancestor's appearance. Hearing this, the ancestor proudly says I can see his handsome and charming appearance too, so it's natural for women to be shy. After hearing this, I'm speechless. I bring a mirror and place it in front of the ancestor, saying he's such a handsome man. While we're fooling around, Khloe picks up her phone and asks us to look at her. Looking at the camera, I see a rabbit eating carat filter on me. And when the ancestor turns his head, the air above him also gets the filter effect, which startles me greatly. But afterwards, no matter what filter Khloe changes to, the air above the ancestor shows the same effect. I try to touch that air, but find I can't feel anyone's body at all. After all this fuss, I ask Khloe why she's not going home at 9 o'clock. Khloe says she can't go back. I take a sip of water and ask why. She says her mother is also possessed by a ghost like she was, and that ghost is powerful enough to easily summon the maiden ghost. If she goes home like this, she'll be forcibly possessed again and come after me like last time. I ask in horror why they must come after me. She says it's because I'm a god vessel, a body that all ghosts and spirits in the world want to possess. As she speaks, she picks up an empty bowl from the side and fills it with water, saying if this represents an ordinary person, then she pours out all the water. Holding up the empty bowl, she says this represents me, and from now on, the ghosts wanting to enter my empty bowl will only increase. She didn't know how to explain before, so she didn't say anything. But in any case, I should remember that ghosts really want my body. At this moment, the ancestor also speaks up, saying, "Didn't I know? All these things happened because of him." In an instant, I recall the scenes of scolding Khloe. I feel embarrassed, realizing nothing happened before my birthday. At this time, Khloe kneels before the ancestor, asking for his help. The ancestor, worthy of being an old creature, understands from just those words that Khloe's mother must be worshipping the ghost as a deity. Khloe anxiously explains that her mother didn't mean to. Although her mother's fortune-telling shop isn't well known, she really prays very seriously every time, until one day her mother came back from the mountain and told her she had received the holy water deity. After that, the shrine that had almost no customers suddenly had appointments booked for an entire year, becoming famous as an accurate fortune-telling shop. But in her eyes, that wasn't a deity but an evil ghost. She questioned her mother countless times if it was really a deity, but was beaten each time for insulting the divine. After that, she kept trying to remove the ghost possessing her mother, but to no avail, and eventually she herself was forcibly possessed by the maiden ghost summoned by the evil spirit. The ancestor says it seems to be a witch spirit, which is why ordinary methods won't work. And looking at her with a smile, he says since she was willing to get hurt to protect Derek, he and I will of course help. Khloe quickly kneels down to thank me while I'm not paying close attention. After that, she uses a wad of tissues as a pillow and prepares to sleep. I ask her why she has to sleep here. Even if she can't go home, can't she stay at a friend's place? Khloe answers that she has no friends. I look completely confused and say, "Isn't that girl with the hair rollers your friend?" Khloe looks aggrieved and says she's the maiden ghost friend. Then she asks hopefully if she can stay here for the night. She'll really just sleep here, nothing else. Hearing this, I panic and say, "What else would you do if not sleep?" Even Ancestor Chen moves aside at this moment, saying he'll make room for us. Khloe even asks to borrow a pair of pants I'm about to throw away. Having no choice, I finally agree to let her stay. Soon Khloe falls into a deep sleep. She dreams of being locked in her room by her mother again, and she's sharing the room with that maiden ghost once more. In her sleep, tears slide down from the corners of her eyes as she sobs continuously, until Ancestor Chen hears this and lies down beside her. Only then does she stop crying and fall into a peaceful sleep. Meanwhile, Khloe's mother, still waiting for her to return, slams the table angrily, cursing about where that damn girl is fooling around. When she comes back, she'll definitely throw her into the bamboo tube. The next morning arrives. I check my phone and it's already past 8. To prepare a good meal for Ancestor Chen, I wash up and prepare to go to the supermarket. Hearing about the supermarket trip, Khloe wants to come along too. While throwing away household trash, Khloe says I look very mature and steady. I stammer and answer that I'm just okay. But seeing her bright and cheerful expression, I recall all those moments when I scolded her. My guilt, shame, and discomfort reach their peak. Thinking this, I call out to Khloe. After struggling internally, I apologize to her. I say all of this happened because of me, yet I said such harsh things to her, and in the end, she still came to help me without holding grudges. But Khloe squats down happily and says it's okay. Although it wasn't intentional, she did bother me, and even though it had nothing to do with me, I did help her. So we're even. I turn my head away and say I'll do my best anyway, thinking to myself that it's not really me but Ancestor Chen. At the supermarket, watching her shop like crazy makes me break into a cold sweat. I say I can't buy this much. I don't have that much money. But Khloe pulls out a card and says I'll pay for everything. Consider it the commission fee for exorcising the maiden ghost. Walking out of the supermarket, I'm still shocked. This is my first time buying so much stuff. Except for the lunch ingredients, everything else will be delivered home. But on the way back, I run into my classmate Jason, setting off all my alarm bells. Fortunately, I've already made my escape before he notices me. I gasp for breath, wondering why Jason would be there. Oh right, there's also Khloe. She should be able to follow on her own, right? At the same time, my phone vibrates. I check and find that guy is stirring up trouble in the group chat again. Good thing he didn't see me, or things could have been worse. As I walk home looking at my phone, a dark shadow suddenly appears behind me. Just as the shadow spreads its large hands to pounce on me, a soccer ball suddenly smacks into the back of my head. I turn around angrily and see a cold-faced kid whose hands are still frozen in a throwing position. I ask if he threw it, but he tells me to be careful. This makes me, usually good-natured, a bit angry, but 3 kids around him surround me, saying it was really dangerous just now. They tell me not to be angry. They were worried about me. Then they wave goodbye to me with big smiles. At this moment, I think to myself sarcastically that I'll be careful to get hit in the future. Watching them leave, I think what an unreasonable bunch. That boy stares at me for a long while before turning to leave. On the other side, Khloe is wondering if I've already gone home. The next next moment, a dark shadow appears behind her. Then candies scatter all over the ground. By this time, I've already returned home. Ancestor Chen asks why I'm the only one back. I say Khloe should be here soon too, but after a long while, there's no sign of her. Even calling her phone shows it's temporarily unavailable. Anxious, I go out to look for her. Just as I step out and turn around, I see Khloe. I apologize, saying I left first earlier because I was afraid my classmate would misunderstand, but she remains silent, staring at me with that same look from before. Then her face begins to crumble, finally transforming into an 80-year-old man holding up a burlap sack. Sensing the ominous aura, Ancestor Chen immediately rushes out, but it's still a step too late. The old man and I vanish from the spot. Just as Ancestor Chen tries to find our trail, a figure suddenly appears behind him, saying, "How does it feel living as a dog, Chen?" Ancestor Chen turns around and sees it's the boy who threw the ball at me earlier. Ancestor Chen's eyes flash with surprise. He can sense the aura belongs to Zedajian, but seeing this youthful body still makes him ask, "What's with your body, kid?" Zedajian scoffs. Then veins bulge at his temples as he says, "Do you really not know? Or are you mocking me?" Ancestor Chen scratches his head, looking completely innocent. But Zedajian asks darkly how he broke the seal. Ancestor Chen answers that he doesn't know. He guesses perhaps one of them had a change of heart, or a celestial god caused his seal to loosen. But after hearing this, Zedajian pulls out a fan from his backpack, just revealing a small corner, releases several waves of spiritual cold. As Zedajian fully draws out the fan, his entire aura and appearance transform. With just a casual wave, massive divine power transforms into ice dragons, instantly engulfing Ancestor Chen's body completely. At this moment, Ancestor Chen channels the spiritual energy and reveals his true divine form. Looking disdainfully at the sharp ice spike stopped at his neck, Zedajian warns him fiercely that he could tear him apart and reseal him at any moment. Moreover, he alone could handle Derek in his current state. But Ancestor Chen calmly just wants to ask one thing. Were they the ones who tampered with his body? Zedajian first lets out a cold laugh. Then he snaps the fan shut. The ice spikes around them begin to shatter and disappear. He puts the fan back in his backpack. He says, why doesn't Ancestor Chen ask the celestial gods, since even he's seeing such a thing for the first time? With that, Zedajian turns to leave. But Ancestor Chen keeps asking why he participated in sealing him. Were they afraid of his power? Hearing this, Zedajian, who is about to leave, turns around and calls him a fool. As soon as the words fall, he vanishes from the spot. This makes Ancestor Chen complain about cursing someone out and then leaving. What kind of behavior is that? Then he turns his dog body around and continues searching for my trail. At this moment, a child suddenly crouches down and appears before Ancestor Chen. He asks if Ancestor Chen is looking for someone in black clothes with messy hair. They can find where I am. Meanwhile, in a room elsewhere, the scraping sound of knife sharpening echoes continuously. The sound gradually wakes me from unconsciousness. Looking at the old man sharpening his knife in the surroundings, I'm startled and ask where exactly this place is. But when I turn and see the old man singing a folk song with his terrifying eyes, I recall that he's the one who brought me here. Thinking this, I start struggling hard, trying to break free from the net bag trapping me, but Khloe beside me is crying and calling out to me. Just as I wonder how she got caught too, a pile of salt suddenly pours down beside me. I hear the old man say he'll salt cure us and soak us in fish sauce. Khloe cries, saying she's heard that song 4 times already. He really is going to soak us in fish sauce. At this moment, my body starts to feel a stinging pain. I look down and discover I'm completely naked in this net bag. My face instantly flushes red. Where are my clothes? Then I ask Khloe if she's already seen everything. Khloe answers that she hasn't, and tells me not to look at her either. At this moment, net bag grandpa suddenly stops sharpening. He gets up and walks somewhere. Hearing the sharpening sound stop, we immediately pretend to be unconscious, but after a long silence, I wonder if he's already left. But the next second, net bag grandpa lowers his head with a terrifying expression and asks if I'm already awake. He crouches down, his neck stretching like a rubber band, his head pressed to the ground, repeatedly muttering, "Bad child." I tentatively ask why I'm a bad child. Khloe chimes in, saying, "Right, we're all good children. Isn't it said that good children get rice cakes?" Then, as if we've made a valid point, we shout for him to give us rice cakes. Net bag grandpa's eyes freeze. Then he grips his cleaver tightly and asks how we can prove we're good children. At this moment, as if catching a loophole, I ask back how he can prove we're bad children. Net bag grandpa licks the sashimi knife and says, "Then prove it. Are you unfilial children or filial children?" I answer that I never had parents. Hearing this, net bag grandpa is enraged, saying I deserve divine punishment for denying my parents. He points at me and says, "Good, I shall receive the fish sauce punishment." Khloe defends me, saying I really don't have parents. Net bag grandpa smiles and answers that she'll also receive the fish sauce punishment. He raises the sashimi knife with a fierce expression, saying denying parents is no different from killing them. Both violate natural law. At this moment, I argue that they passed away, making net bag grandpa, who was about to stab down, freeze on the spot. Then he turns his focus to Khloe, saying she must be an unfilial child because her mother prays to him every night, saying she's the worst child in the world and asking him to take her away. Khloe is about to explain that it's her mother's fault when a terrifying sound comes from outside. Net bag grandpa tells us to stay put here. Then he walks out the door. After seeing him leave for a while, Khloe and I immediately shuffle to stand up. Khloe says this is her family's ancestral shrine. Hearing this, I'm shocked. I lower my head dejectedly and say we're completely done for now. Khloe asks what's wrong? Weren't we planning to come here anyway? I explain that what good does it do with just the two of us? She suggests I use the blade to solve this problem in one strike. I say I left both the blade and ancestor Chen behind. Khloe spreads her hands, saying, doesn't the blade appear when I spread my hands? That's what she saw last time. I scold her, asking if she thinks this is a comic book. It's not that magical. Anyway, let's get out of here first. Just as I'm thinking that going through this door might make us run into the old man, Khloe opens another door and tells me to follow quickly. Coming out, the colorful, strange objects here dazzle my eyes. For convenience, we decide to change clothes first before running out. To prevent peeking at each other, we change clothes far apart. These loose clothes will open up with even a gentle breeze. I wonder how we can walk around wearing these. Khloe says it's fine. We'll just take a cab. She'll pay for it. Then she points to the door, saying the courtyard is right outside. But at this moment, I stare at the window, cold sweat dripping down my face because there's a figure outside approaching continuously. The instant she opens the door, Khloe and I immediately hide in a cabinet. But after a long while, there's no sound in the room. Just as I open a crack in the cabinet to check, Khloe's mother's face appears before my eyes. I'm so scared that I immediately slam it shut. I turn to Khloe and say we seem to be doomed. As soon as the words fall, the cabinet door is yanked open. Then the person outside grabs Khloe's hair and pulls her out in one motion. She says, since you're here, you should have said something. I was really worried about you. Then she turns her gaze to me, asking Khloe if she brought a friend home. Seeing this, I slowly crawl out of the cabinet, dust off my hands and say I have an emergency at home, so I'll head back now, ma'am. I claim I don't know the way and ask Khloe to see me out. Then I push Khloe, urging her to hurry. But at this moment, a strange sound blows from Khloe's mother's mouth. This makes us both freeze suddenly. She says since you've met your friend's mother, you should say hello. As the words fall, I feel a hand grab my leg. Then one hand, two hands, more and more hands grab my legs. I see a swarm of infant spirits surrounding us. Khloe's mother laughs maniacally, black energy emanating from her body. She says how rude, it seems you've had no family education, Derek. As she speaks, these infant spirits keep pouncing on us. Then Khloe's mother tells me I don't need to come play anymore, since I won't be able to leave here anyway. At this moment, a voice breaks the deadlock. Netbag Grandpa appears here at an inopportune time. Khloe's mother tells the old man to go back quickly, saying everything's over. But seeing the infant spirits crawling all over us, a flash of red light appears in Netbag Grandpa's eyes. Khloe and I look hopeful. It seems they're about to fight. Netbag Grandpa says, so we're all good children after all, and you're the wicked mother. Then he raises his sashimi knife and points at Khloe's mother, saying bad parents must also receive punishment. But Khloe's mother grins and says, has the old fool lost his mind? Do you know why you're stuck here? She crooks a finger and says, let me tell you your current situation. As soon as the words fall, thick cloth strips surround Netbag Grandpa. Although he frantically swings his sashimi knife while cursing how this bitch dares to treat him this way, he's ultimately wrapped up like a mummy by the cloth strips. As Khloe's mother clenches her hand, the dumpling-like wrapped figure suddenly shrinks and is stuffed into a jar. Then she snaps her fingers. A talisman sticks to the jar, sealing it completely. Having done all this, Khloe's mother says angrily, no wonder they say you can't hire old things as servants. He doesn't even recognize his own master. With that, she turns her gaze to us and says, children, are you done eating? I just feel my head starting to get dizzy. My whole body falls to the ground, losing all strength. Khloe is in the same situation as me. This makes us realize these tiny monsters seem to be doing something to us. But before I can think more, a massive foot kicks us. Khloe's mother asks with a dark expression, didn't you want to go back? Then go back if you can. Watching this scene, Khloe cries out in terror, mother, please stop! But her mother leans down and says she clearly knows she's not her real mother, yet still dares to play tricks. She should shut her mouth and behave before being thrown into the bamboo tube. Just as she's smiling, thinking she'll soon possess my body, a doorbell rings outside, interrupting the process. Then we're locked in a dark room again. With no strength in our bodies, there's no way to escape. Khloe cries hard, saying we're really doomed. She keeps blaming herself, saying she's the one who harmed me. She thinks I must see her as a really selfish person. I tell her to stop crying. It makes me feel like we really are done for. Khloe sobs, saying she shouldn't have asked me to help her, but if she didn't do something, she felt her mother would meet with disaster, because she saw her mother's skin rotting. That evil ghost said she wouldn't last much longer. I say, why is she only mentioning such important information now? She says she didn't want to pressure me too much, and that was before she was possessed by the maiden ghost. She's worried about what to do if it's too late now. I tell her to stop saying such unlucky things and stop apologizing. Then I ask what conditions are needed to change bodies. If the body is rotting, she can change bodies. But hasn't she not been possessed since the maiden ghost left her? At this moment, Khloe recalls what her mother said before. A mortal's body will die, so a vessel that can hold a divine being is needed. So that's it. Then she asks if my family also has divine lineage. I ask what that is. She says it's families whose generations have practiced divination. I tell her to stop joking. I've been alone from beginning to end. Although now would be a good time to escape, I can barely move a finger. But suddenly I find my hands can move normally, and my strength is slowly returning. After a while, I sit up straight with a single motion. Considering Khloe hasn't recovered her strength yet, I tell her to grab my shoulders, planning to pull her up with my body. But just as I count to 3, she accidentally strips off my clothes. I tell her speechlessly that if she's recovered her strength, stop playing dumb. Khloe quickly explains it wasn't intentional. At this moment, the door opens a crack. Ancestor Chen walks in, saying he hopes he's not interrupting. Behind him are 3 celestial children who came along, pointing at us and saying how perverted we are without clothes on. One of the children picks up the cleaver and throws it at me, saying, here's your blade back. Watching the cleaver flying through the air, I'm completely stunned. I instinctively try to catch it with my hands, but I know how heavy the cleaver is. I can't possibly catch it. I thought being a god vessel would make me special somehow, but it seems only pain is real to me. But suddenly realizing this child can casually throw such a heavy object, cold sweat runs down me. What kind of being is this kid? The celestial child Fusun looks at the immobile Khloe. After asking about her being of divine lineage prone to possession, Fusun possesses her body to help her move. Then we return to the shrine, and after possessing her, Fusun is showing off to the other two children. Not understanding what's happening, I quickly ask if Khloe is okay. Why does she seem like a different person? Ancestor Chen comes over and explains that's a celestial child. Because Khloe couldn't move, he possessed her body to help her move. He tells me not to be on guard. They're celestial children from heaven. I think to myself, so they really aren't human. Though I'm not on guard, is it really okay for them to be so noisy? At this moment, Khloe's mother is entertaining a guest outside. She gives the guest a jar as she opens a folding fan and blows a cold breath at them. The dark spirit wrapped around their shoulder dissipates. The guest immediately feels much better. Khloe's mother tells them not to let their guard down. This is just being suppressed by her aura. If this doesn't work, they'll probably need to hold a ritual ceremony. After hearing this, the guest thanks her repeatedly and asks how much it costs. The witch answers that just paying the divination fee is fine. She wants to save people, money is secondary, but in her mind, she thinks they'll have to hold an elaborate ceremony eventually anyway. Finally, the witch reminds her that next time she comes, there will be a boy sitting here. Though young, he's very effective. She should just treat the boy as if he were her, because the boy serves the same deity as she does. She'll be going to a mountain during this time. Just at this moment, a clanging sound comes from inside the shrine. The witch tells the guest not to mind it. It's just her cat being a bit noisy. Inside the shrine, the cleaver is knocked to the ground by the red-clothed child. The black-clothed child beside him immediately scolds him. Fusun looks curiously at the jar on the altar table and touches it without thinking. The moment Ancestor Chen notices, he immediately shouts not to touch that thing. The black-clothed child also shouts for Fusun to stay away, but Fusun accidentally knocks over the jar. In an instant, the jar erupts with powerful force as if unsealed. Fusun is blown back by this, leaving only Khloe's body lying on the ground. Khloe just wakes up, wondering what happened. She sees me rushing toward her with the cleaver while shouting to get out of the way, because at this moment, a twisted ghost appears above Khloe's head. In an instant, I swing the cleaver, piercing straight through its body. The cleaver embeds itself in the wall due to momentum. Just as the three celestial children applaud and praise, the witch walks in at this moment asking how so many rats got in here, and truly worthy of being a divine vessel, Derek recovered so quickly. As a body that can contain a deity, it's too excellent. But you should have kept lying on the ground pretending. How foolish. With that, she blows a breath, trying to mobilize the infant spirits. But the black-clothed child blocks the infant spirits at this moment, saying, "Do you want to torture these infant spirits again? That won't do." The other two children also condemn her, saying a witch actually does such things. Usually, only those witches lacking divine power who practice evil arts do this. The black-clothed child picks up the arms of two infant spirits and asks where these children's fingers are. The witch is about to lose her temper when the guest from outside walks over asking what's going on. And when she turns to look at me, the jar in her hands begins to crack. Then it explodes directly. The evil spirit inside rushes at me like a rabid dog, shouting that the body is hers. But just as it approaches, its entire body suddenly goes berserk due to some force. The witch clenches her fist fiercely and says, "Why should it be yours? This body is hers." Watching the evil spirit dissipate, the witch clicks her tongue regretfully. She's lost another cash cow for nothing. But at this moment, the sudden sound of scripture chanting and golden lights startle her. The three celestial children form a triangular formation, performing a scripture ritual. But the witch simply pulls out the hairpin from her hair and mutters petty tricks. Then she uses the hairpin to cut her finger. Her eyes glowing red, she extends her palm, letting blood drip onto the ground. She herself is resentment, so the emotion called resentment has no hold on her. The instant the blood drips onto the ground, it forms a resentment curse. The power of resentment spreads through the blood all around. The children's power is instantly countered, because she is the most powerful, vengeful spirit, constantly resenting and madly cursing the world. In an instant, everyone in the shrine is pressed down by this resentment, unable to move. The witch slowly walks up to the black-clothed child and says he just asked where the fingers are, right? With that, the witch opens her mouth wide, revealing fingers inside. The children are instantly terrified. Meanwhile, the originally weak spirits, empowered by resentment, transform into evil ghosts. Under the witch's control, they surge toward the three celestial children. The black-clothed child shouts that she thinks she can get away with this. If his older brother were here, the witch would be dead already. The witch laughs fearlessly and says, "Then call him here. Whether it's your brother or whoever, I'll send them to join you." Finally, the three celestial children are completely overwhelmed by the evil ghosts. Then the witch walks toward me, saying, "Let's continue what we were doing. From this point on, she will become a god, no, an even higher existence." But just as her finger is about to touch my forehead, a blade flash suddenly slashes her arm. At this moment, Ancestor Chen stands majestically with three blades floating above his head, smiling and saying, "When did a mere witch get to casually discuss gods?" The witch is shocked to see it's a dog that came. She can't believe a dog can stand unharmed within her curse. The witch says curiously that she's apparently not an ordinary dog. Ancestor Chen says it's because she's already lost her divine power and can't see his true form. With that, divine power continuously flows from Ancestor Chen's body. Ancestor Chen's true form is fully revealed at this moment. I am the god you speak of so casually. This leaves the vengeful witch shocked on the spot. Ancestor Chen slowly speaks, saying, "Can you see my true form clearly now?" But after hearing this, the witch's wide mouth begins to show a smile. Then she bursts into maniacal laughter, not taking Ancestor Chen, a deity, seriously at all. She says, "Handsome one, if you don't want to die in a dog's form, get out quickly." Then she says, looking at Ancestor Chen's attire, "Where does he look like a deity? More like a country bumpkin. I'm also completely confused about what's happening. Why does Ancestor Chen keep standing still?" Sensing my gaze, Ancestor Chen glances at me. This immediately makes the witch discover the flaw. She asks what he's looking at. Don't play tricks with her. But Ancestor Chen just answers calmly, saying he was thinking for a moment, watching this wicked one shouting in human form. I ponder Ancestor Chen's look just now, thinking, could it be he wants me to do something at this moment? The witch also finds his behavior just now very suspicious. She uses blood and resentment as medium to activate her witch's secret art. A blood-colored rune forms in her hand. If you're really a god, you should be able to block this attack. As the words fall, the resentment talisman transforms into a blood-colored torrent, blasting toward Ancestor Chen. In just an instant, Ancestor Chen is blown away, returning to his small dog form. Watching the small dog who claimed to be a god lying wounded on the ground, the witch mocks that he's just an empty shell without divine power. If he were really a god, he should be able to easily force her out of this body and then beat her up. Besides, how would a god possess a dog? With that, the witch turns her gaze to me again. She asks if these few small fries are all the help I could find. She slowly approaches me, telling me to just obediently hand over my body. If I do, she might mercifully spare my friends. Then she grabs my clothes, saying I have no right to choose anyway. I laugh bitterly and say, how don't I? If I bite my tongue and kill myself now, neither of us will get what we want. Hearing my threat, the witch smiles cunningly, telling me to go ahead and try. She'll seize the body before I die. From then on, I'll be a dead person, and she'll be a god who dominates the world. But at this moment, Khloe grabs the witch's skirt and shouts to stop. She cries and begs for the evil ghost to leave her mother's body. She keeps calling mother, trying to awaken her mother's consciousness, but she's ruthlessly kicked away by the witch. The witch staggers, holding her forehead with a fierce expression, saying, does she really think she let her be because she couldn't get rid of her? The only reason Khloe could live before was because she had some use, but now she has no value anymore. With that, a kill resentment talisman forms in the witch's hand. She says it might hurt a bit, and dizziness is normal, but soon she'll send her mother to join her. As the words fall, the witch raises her arm, intending to end Khloe's life. I struggle desperately to stop this, but I'm completely immobilized by the power of resentment. In the final moment, I only see Khloe's tear-streaked face. A sorry escapes her lips as she closes her eyes. Just as the witch's resentment-powered hand is about to strike, the word mother brings memories back to that beautiful dusk. Mother made Khloe a ceramic bead bracelet. She said many children are wearing bracelets lately, so she should wear one too. But little Khloe complained that the bracelet was big and ugly. Mother said with it, ghosts can't harm her. Hearing this, little Khloe lowered her head and complained, is it this reason again? Stop putting talismans in my backpack. Last time when I got my books in class, they fell on the ground. My classmates all mocked me for being a witch's daughter. If I wear this bracelet and get ostracized by classmates, can you take responsibility? Mother sighed and answered that she's just worried about her. Little Khloe retorted loudly that other normal families live fine without these things. Why do we have to be this way? But at this moment, Mother opened her arms and said, how about this charm? Little Khloe answered that she already said she hates talismans. Mother said this is a mother's charm. No matter where or when her daughter is, as long as she calls Mother, Mother will run over and hold her. It's an effective charm. Mother will always protect our little Khloe. At this moment, tears fill the witch's eyes and the resentment talisman in her hand dissipates. Khloe's mother's suppressed soul consciousness temporarily takes control of the body because of that one word mother. She cries out in pain for Khloe to run. Then she turns around and staggers backward. Then she pulls out the cleaver embedded in the wall. Khloe asks tearfully and in terror what her mother wants to do. The next second, the cleaver pierces her body, ending her own life. To prevent the evil ghost from occupying her body and doing evil, this is the only way she can protect her daughter now. At this moment, Khloe breaks free from the resentment blood curse. She runs toward her mother who is about to collapse, and I'm stunned watching all of this, recalling Khloe's innocent smile. Now she's holding her mother's body, crying endlessly. Voices saying all this happened because of me fill my head. My head feels like it's about to explode, tearing bit by bit. The voice saying give me your body echoes constantly in my ears. I seem to see those people crying hysterically, condemning me, saying I shouldn't have made a sound. It's me, this evil ghost, who killed my own parents. In a blur, I see my own parents playing with me. Then I only see flames and a sea of blood flickering. At this moment, the evil ghost is forcibly expelled because of Khloe's mother's self-sacrifice. It roars that this crazy woman dares to be so bold. With that, it picks up the cleaver and angrily swings it down at the mother and daughter on the ground. But the next second, there's a snap. The cleaver in the evil ghost's hand along with its arm falls to the ground. It looks back at its severed arm, confused about what just happened. At this moment, I seem like a different person, with black mist floating around me. Inside the black mist seems to be an indescribable, unclear presence. As the eyes of the possessing black mist suddenly open, my eyes also open, revealing blood-red pupils. Ancestor Chen trembles on the side, watching the scene and thinking, has he finally awakened? The demon witch clutches her arm, about to mock me, when my figure vanishes from where I stand. In the demon witch's shocked gaze, I appear behind her with the cleaver blade in one hand. I bring the blade down, but she dodges just in time. I only manage to sever the prayer beads around her neck. Sensing danger, the demon witch quickly retreats, pulling back. She's shocked that I broke free from the binding curse. I'm just a fragile human after all. With that thought, she exhales another breath of her 82-year-old fury. She controls the infant spirits to release the 3 child spirits from their bindings. She plans to use them as nourishment to regenerate her severed arm. At the same time, I grip the cleaver and charge at her with explosive speed. Seeing this, the demon witch immediately forms a grudge blade from her resentment and blocks my strike as I close in. In the clash of our forces, I'm ultimately slightly stronger, forcing the demon witch back a step. I seize the opportunity and swing again, shattering her grudge blade. Then I flip the blade around. With a downward thrust, I brutally pin her infant spirit arm to the ground. Screaming in pain, she lets out a terrifying shriek, but to prevent my next move, she ignores the pain and forces her arm back through the blade. Then she leaps onto the altar table and demands to know who I am, since I was just coughing up blood from a simple binding curse moments ago. Meanwhile, her arm slowly regenerates as the infant spirits writhe within it, but I just grin. With a snap, I raise the cleaver as black smoke erupts from it. Without a word, I continue charging at her. Seeing this, the demon witch's eyes dart away. Her gaze lands on a jar sitting on the altar. Without hesitation, she hurls the jar at me. I block with the blade held horizontally, but the jar shatters from the impact. Several centipedes fall out and crawl all over my body. The demon witch grins and mocks my ignorance. Then I'm suddenly hit by a massive centipede body and sent flying. I jam the cleaver into the ground to slow myself and barely manage to stop. The demon witch says this isn't just an ordinary ghost, it's a demon beast created with venom curses. My methods won't work against it, but seeing my completely unbothered expression, she feels some pressure and realizes she's taken more damage than expected. She needs to take this chance to possess a human body. With that thought, she charges toward the customer lying on the ground. Though not ideal, she figures I wouldn't actually attack a human. But just as she begins pouring her essence into the young man, half a centipede body suddenly flies over and interrupts her. I've sliced the massive centipede in half with a single strike. The demon witch's face shows shock at this sight, but then she bursts into laughter, saying, I'm truly ignorant to the extreme. Simply cutting them is useless. It only multiplies their numbers. She instructs the centipedes not to kill me directly, just to bind me. She still needs this body if she wants to become a god. But the next second, her laughter turns to shock. The black mist surrounding me is frantically devouring the centipedes. In moments, it completely consumes them. I lick my lips and look at her mockingly. The demon witch is so terrified she collapses to the ground, wondering how this is possible. He actually devoured the demon beast. I grip the cleaver and slowly walk toward her, but then Ancestor Chen calls out to me from behind. I glance back with contempt. Then I strike the blade down right in front of him, as if warning him not to interfere. Ancestor Chen freezes, his dog body tensed, not daring to move. Then I turn my gaze back to the demon witch. I smile wickedly, as if scorning her very existence. At this moment, the demon witch finally senses something is wrong. She scrambles to her feet and frantically runs toward the door. She crashes through the closed door without a second thought. But how could I let her escape? I leap through the air and follow right behind her. I stomp down on her head. Then, as terror fills her eyes, I raise the cleaver high. Seeing this, the demon witch refuses to accept her fate, frantically thrashing to break free, but I stomp down on her head again, pinning her in place. A bloody tear rolls down from the corner of her eye, her heart filled with unwillingness and resentment. She was once a respected witch, but one day, when she prayed for rain for the village in the 3rd month, not a single drop fell for 3 straight days. This made her furiously kick over the altar. Why couldn't she sense anything lately? Even the divine oracles had ceased. A terrifying thought emerged in her mind. What if there were no gods at all, and everything from the beginning had just been her own abilities? The villagers who came to offer tributes witnessed this entire scene. They discussed among themselves that this witch had been punished by the gods and lost her powers. Some even said she knocked over the ritual offerings, questioning whether everything she'd done before was a fraud. She approached with a dark expression, pointed at one of the villagers, and said his family would contract an epidemic. She demanded he offer a bushel of rice to the kitchen god to survive this calamity. But when you're down, everyone kicks you. No one believed her words anymore, and they all accused her of being a fraudulent charlatan. Looking at the villagers' arrogant faces, she left them with one sentence: "You will all fall ill and die soon." Then she walked away. Sure enough, before long, those villagers fell ill and died one after another. This restored the villagers' trust in her as a witch. One family even had 3 children taken by tigers, and they sought her help to perform a 3 gods ritual so they could have more children. The recent tiger plague and epidemic had the entire village in panic. Everyone brought offerings to her, seeking blessings and protection from disasters. But the tiger plague wasn't resolved. Instead, it grew worse. Little did they know this was all her doing. She trapped the children she'd lured into her cellar, denying them food and water. When they were about about to collapse from hunger, she forced them to accept her food. Then she would cut off their fingers. Unfortunately, a child named Xiaodong secretly witnessed this scene. When she went out to find Xiaodong, she discovered he had vanished. Thinking Xiaodong had simply gone home, she didn't pay it much mind, but Xiaodong had hidden inside a large jar and escaped disaster. While the witch performed rituals for the villagers the next day, Xiaodong ran out and told his mother everything. He identified the so-called tiger plague as the witch's own doing. Sure enough, the villagers searched the witch's home and found bamboo tubes. Inside were children's fingers. In the end, the villagers tied her to a wooden post and burned her alive at the stake. Due to her hatred and resentment toward the gods, she became a cursed demon. As her thoughts return to reality, her unwilling obsession causes her to unleash a vicious curse. Instantly, the altars in the mourning hall shatter. The spirits inside turn into nourishment and become her power. She assembles a body formed from 100 demon body. Her confidence surges as she roars that it's time for divine punishment. As soon as she finishes speaking, several centipede arms attack me. The dense barrage of attacks forces me to keep dodging, but the witch has gone completely mad, vowing to eliminate all of us. As she chants the 10-character mantra repeatedly, a terrifying power of resentment erupts from her body and blasts toward me. The 3 child spirits and Khloe all shout warnings of danger at me, but the black-robed child spirit senses something is wrong. He feels that, compared to the witch, I seem far more dangerous. I easily block the witch's violent strike with my cleaver. Then, with an explosive dash, I slash multiple times at a speed invisible to the naked eye. I shatter the witch's entire centipede arms into chunks of flesh. The witch's pained counterattack comes even faster, using her severed arms to spray blood curse power at me, but I leap into the air and dodge it. At this moment, I hover in the air, holding the cleaver. My white pupils are completely engulfed in black. The black mist around me takes full form. A body covered in black dragon scales hovers behind me. Witnessing this, Ancestor Chen's face shows shock, wondering what on earth I've done. Seeing this, the witch unleashes her bone-corroding arm with full force, attacking me first. I raise the great blade high as the purple-black dragon coils behind me, roaring. But just as this strike is about to fall, the sound of a folding fan opening suddenly rings out. In an instant, a piercing cold force fills the entire space. Then a tornado of frigid wind rises from the ground and disperses both our attacks. The witch and I are both blasted away. As the folding fan closes, the cold tornado instantly dissipates, while I look on in confusion. He points the folding fan at me, and as he speaks the word break, streams of white clouds flow out from it. My black eyes gradually begin to clear, like a surging tide, yet a gentle, continuous, soft force washes over me. As the young man speaks the word release, whatever force was controlling my body completely disintegrates. The one who intervened is none other than one of the earthly branch gods, Zidaejian. The 3 child spirits immediately rush over when they see him. They pour out their grievances and tell him all about the evil witch's crimes. When the 4 of them turn their gaze to the witch on the ground, the 3 child spirits gasp in shock at her appearance. The witch crawls on the ground, her face completely disfigured, asking who Zidaejian is. What was that power? How can he use divine authority that only gods can wield? Zidaejian answers her coldly, because he himself is a god. He is the celestial overseer, an earthly branch god. After hearing this, the witch freezes for a moment, then tears unconsciously stream down from her eyes. She grabs Zidaejian's robe and demands to know why he didn't hear her prayers. Why didn't he appear when she sought him? If he had come then, perhaps none of this would have happened. How can gods ignore those who pray to them? But Zidaejian shakes off her hand and questions what prayers she's talking about. Looking at her like this, even if it was prayer, it could only have been to satisfy her own selfish desires. Which god do you think would answer such prayers, you fool? After hearing this, the witch's expression remains unsettled for a long time. The infant spirits still remaining inside her take the opportunity to break free from her control. Zidaejian continues, saying she was tempted by immediate benefits and forgot her duty as a witch, committing heinous crimes. He scolds her, asking what she has to feel wronged about. Can't she see all these innocent souls who died because of her? The witch is about to protest in terror, but Zidaejian shuts her down with a sharp silence. Even if her body were torn apart thousands of times or burned, it wouldn't compare to their injustice. Someone like her will fall into hell and suffer punishment equal to the number of fingers from the children she killed, as well as the number of people who suffered because of her. With that, he opens his folding fan. A bright moon rises from his forehead, and a vivid rabbit zodiac pattern appears on the fan. As Zidaejian waves his hand, black energy swirls upward. Even the blazing sun in the sky is gradually shrouded. When the black moon emerges, heaven and earth change color. This is Zidaejian's ultimate punishment for this sinful person. At this moment, the witch prostrates herself on the ground, continuously begging for mercy, but in Zidaejian's cold eyes, she's already a corpse. As the black moon rotates with the sun, the witch's entire body is torn to pieces. Not even a trace of ash remains. She completely vanishes from existence. After finishing everything, Zidaejian turns to ask his brothers what happened to the humans. The child spirits answer that a human was stabbed. Then Zidaejian brings the child spirits to Khloe and her mother. After examining the mother's body and finding she still has a breath left, Zidaejian opens his folding fan again, changing the zodiac pattern to a flower forest. As the fan's pattern transforms into a small goat. A massive flower slowly floats down from the sky. It settles beneath Khloe's dying mother. This flower is called the life-returning flower. The power flowing from the flower gradually restores Khloe's mother's life force. As Zedajian speaks the word seal, the flower buds growing from her wounds all transform into life force and flow into her body, literally snatching her back from death's door. He tells Khloe not to worry. Her mother is just sleeping now. Looking at her mother's restored breath as she sleeps peacefully, Khloe chokes up and cries again. The three child spirits watching are very happy to see this. The Crimson and Obsidian child spirits proudly boast that Zedajian is the celestial overseer, ranked first among the 12 earthly branch gods. This is nothing for him. After hearing this, Khloe repeatedly kneels and bows to Zedajian in gratitude, but Zedajian covers his mouth and coughs a few times. The blood makes his crimson robes even darker. He wipes the blood from his lips and says that, rather than thanks, he'd prefer Khloe help him with something. With that, he shakily raises his folding fan. He suddenly swings it toward the group of infant spirits behind Khloe. The infant spirits appear as if trapped in a two-dimensional mirror. In the blink of an eye, they shatter like glass, finally transforming into fingers that fall to the ground. Zedajian instructs Khloe to have her mother collect these children's fingers and perform a soul-sending ritual when she wakes. The soul-sending ritual is a ceremony to send the dead to paradise. Meanwhile, outside, Ancestor Chen stays close, guarding me. When Zedajian walks over, he first lets out a smug laugh. Then he loudly tells Ancestor Chen to get lost. He taps my head with his folding fan. My consciousness awakens, looking at the familiar faces before me. I look around, confused about what happened. Just as I'm wondering what the black smoke holding me up is, the smoke instantly dissipates, and I crash to the ground with a thud. The atmosphere becomes a bit awkward. I wonder what's going on. Wasn't I in the morning hall? How did I end up here? Then I suddenly remember Khloe and her mother. But just as I'm about to search for them, Khloe suddenly appears in front of me. She vigorously rubs my cheeks with both hands. She asks if I'm okay, and if there's anywhere I feel uncomfortable. Blushing, I swat away her hands, saying I'm fine. But then Khloe starts crying again, apologizing repeatedly and saying it's all her fault. I tell her that more importantly, is her mother okay? Khloe says with a smile that the child spirits and Zedajian helped them. Her mother's injuries are completely healed, and she's sleeping now. But hearing this, I can't adapt to these sudden changes. Opening my eyes and missing most of what happened is really disorienting. Ancestor Chen walks up and asks if I'm fully awake now. I rub my head and ask him what exactly just happened. Ancestor Chen says he'll explain everything properly when we get home, but Zedajian steps forward with a smile, saying he's looking forward to it. He wonders how Ancestor Chen will explain this to his own descendant. As soon as he says this, the atmosphere falls silent. Khloe hurriedly introduces me, saying this is Zedajian, supposedly the celestial overseer. But the more I look at his face, the more familiar it seems. Just as I point at him and say, "Isn't this the guy who threw the soccer ball at me before?" Zedajian spits out a mouthful of blood. This frightens the child spirits, who all ask if he's okay. Zedajian ignores them and tells them to come closer so they can leave quickly. With a wave of his folding fan, they instantly vanish. Khloe looks at me admiringly and says it seems I'm truly protected by the gods. Just as I'm about to explain, Khloe's mother walks out. Seeing this, Khloe immediately runs over and hugs her mother. Watching this scene, both Ancestor Chen and I feel very warm inside. Netbag Grandpa, who arrived outside the door, also sheds tears. He picks up the basket on the ground. Then he slowly walks toward the distant sunset, singing, "Crying children get taken by tigers. Good children get a piece of cake." He leaves only the cake placed by the gate. When Ancestor Chen and I get home, I check my phone and discover the food I ordered was delivered 8 hours ago. All the ice for refrigeration has melted. Seeing my disappointed expression, Ancestor Chen asks if I'm some kind of important official here, with people making offerings of food. I tell him Khloe bought this for me and had the supermarket deliver it, dummy. Ancestor Chen's face turns angry, saying I've been disrespectful to him from the start. He's generous enough to overlook other things, but I can't just call him whatever I want. After opening the door, I say, "So what? Better behave or I won't feed you." Hearing this, Ancestor Chen quickly asks me to prepare him a meal. He's starving to death, but I pick up my phone and tell him to wash his paws first. Looking at the messages Khloe sent me, I briefly reply with a few words, then hurriedly prepare a feast for Ancestor Chen. When Khloe sees my reply, she freezes for a moment, then smiles happily. Just some simple words, no more sorries. Later during dinner, I ask Ancestor Chen about what happened today. So while I was unconscious, that Zedajian guy eliminated the witch and saved Khloe's mother. I pick up food with my chopsticks and sigh. Looks like I missed all the exciting parts. I continue asking if Zedajian is also a god like him. Ancestor Chen says Zedajian isn't my ancestor and tells me not to randomly claim relatives. I ask then why my ancestor just stood by. Couldn't he have just taken out that monster? Ancestor Chen answers that he wasn't standing by. He could only watch it all happen because he currently has no divine power and can't do anything. I ask him how he saved me from the maiden ghost before then. Ancestor Chen says seriously that incident became the root of the problem. He calls my name and says that day I had stopped breathing. To save me, he transferred all his remaining power into my body, and it's precisely because of his power inside me that I gained powerful regeneration abilities. With that, Ancestor Chen says seriously that from now on, I need to help him recover his power. Meanwhile, in the night-shrouded district, a girl holding a bow stands on a utility pole. She simply glances towards somewhere, then vanishes. When I wake up the next day, my whole body aches. I wonder if if my body is really this weak? Did just running a few steps cause lactic acid buildup? Little do I know, I just went through an intense battle yesterday. Ancestor Chen asks if I can find him a history chronicle or something, basically a book that records world changes from ancient times to present in chronological order. I ask why he has to make it sound so complicated. Then I dig out a history textbook for him to read. After that, I head to school. On the way, I recall Ancestor Chen saying I'll have powerful regeneration abilities and won't be bullied by spirits anymore. But when I reach the statue at the school entrance, I still stop. I'm still a bit scared as I walk past it from the side. At the same time, a student wearing glasses also stops in front of the statue. As I pass by him, the large phone hanging on his chest rings. Some device in his hand also starts beeping. But after I walk away, the device suddenly goes quiet. He adjusts his glasses. His gaze follows my retreating figure. Then he takes out his phone and follows me, filming. But just as he's getting into it, his phone is snatched by a hand. Two girls angrily ask him what he's doing and if he's secretly filming them. Despite the boy's repeated explanations that he wasn't filming them and that this is just a ghost detection app, the girls don't care about his explanations and keep demanding he open his photo gallery for inspection. Just as the boy reaches his limit and is about to challenge them to combat, Ethan, the school heartthrob, suddenly appears beside them. This makes the two girls blush immediately. Ethan explains to them that Marcus is just investigating paranormal incidents on campus, and if there's any offense, he apologizes on his behalf. Olivia, who followed along, also takes the phone back from the girls and explains that Marcus has been like this since before, completely lacking empathy, asking them not to take it too seriously. She even voluntarily opens the photo gallery for them to check. Inside are only Marcus's cool selfies. After some explanation and apology, the matter is resolved. After the two girls leave, Olivia scolds Marcus not to cause trouble anymore. Walking around with a camera in this day and age, does he have a death wish? Ethan asks why he suddenly came to their floor without even putting down his backpack. Then, as if thinking of something, his face shows alarm. He asks if Marcus discovered something unclean again. Hearing this, Olivia tells Ethan not to always play along with him. But Ethan says last time Marcus's recorder really captured a spirit's voice. Olivia says that was probably just electronic interference from surrounding electromagnetic waves. But then Marcus says exactly, it's electromagnetic interference. Because spirits have strong magnetic fields. When such entities are near other electromagnetic waves, changes occur, like light bulbs suddenly flickering, or sensors malfunctioning, causing machines to become uncontrollable due to electromagnetic influence. He didn't expect Olivia to know so much. She has potential to become a ghost hunter. If she's willing, he could take her as his apprentice. Seeing him pushing his luck like this, Olivia rolls up her sleeves in fury. Fortunately, Ethan holds her back, or Marcus would probably get beaten up. But just then, Marcus's detector sounds an alarm again. This classroom door is exactly where my class is. Seeing this, Ethan leans in with a panicked expression, saying judging by the machine's reaction, could there be a spirit in their class? Then he opens the classroom door, asking if Marcus wants to go in. He can introduce him to everyone. Two girls in the class see it's Ethan and immediately crowd around him. He introduces Marcus as his friend to the girls. The girls greet Marcus and curiously ask what all the devices hanging on him are. Just as she's about to touch them, Marcus immediately blocks her hand, saying he's sorry but please don't touch them. If her yin-heavy hands touch them, they might malfunction. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in the classroom chatting with Khloe. Khloe texts me asking me to come to the science room. She has something for me. I ask if she can't just give it to me after school, but seeing her reply, I have no choice but to go to the science room. But the back door has been occupied by Ethan's fans. A classmate beside me suggests either I gather courage and tell them all to get lost, or take the cowardly route through the front door. But seeing me approach, Ethan immediately pushes the students aside so they don't block the door. He shows an apologetic expression, but just as I pass by Marcus again, his devices start buzzing with alarms once more. Hearing the sound, Ethan turns around and nervously asks what's going on. Marcus lowers his head and says he thinks he's found the reason for the abnormalities in their class. When I arrive at the science room, Khloe takes out a small bracelet. She says her mother made this by hand and asked her to give me one. Looking at her smiling face, I ask if she called me here just for this. Then I casually snatch it and put it in my pocket. Khloe asks why I put it in my pocket instead of wearing it. I say, aren't we afraid of people misunderstanding if we both wear the same accessory? Khloe is dumbfounded and says these are prayer beads. Lots of people at school wear them. Probably only I would think of them as couple bracelets. Besides, her mother made these specifically to prevent us from falling into danger again. I say spirits probably won't target me anymore. Then I explain to her what Ancestor Chen told me that day. After hearing this, Khloe's confusion clears up. She says no wonder I seemed like a different person, not only fighting incredibly well but also easily wielding that huge blade. I ask in confusion when I fought anyone. Just as Khloe is about to tell me about what happened at the morning hall that day, a hand suddenly clamps down on her mouth. My body acts on its own in this bizarre way. Seeing this, I immediately step back and pull away. I stare at my arm in disbelief. Hearing Khloe's concern, I explain defensively that wasn't me just now. Just then, the sound of an electromagnetic alarm startles us both. Caught, Marcus walks in scratching his head sheepishly, saying what we were talking about was so interesting he couldn't help but eavesdrop at the door for a bit. Then he introduces himself as Marcus, a ghost hunter. Hearing this, we both pause slightly, thinking what kind of edgy teen is this? He extends his hand and says, nice to meet you, Khloe. Khloe asks in confusion how he knows her. Marcus says he also knows she's the daughter of a witch. Hearing this, Khloe shouts in alarm. What? How do you know? I scold Khloe, saying there's no need to overreact. Hasn't it been common knowledge knowledge at school that her mother is a witch? Marcus continues, saying he knows all the legends and history of this school, which is why he transferred here. He asks if we know about the moving statue legend. Khloe and I exchange guilty glances. Then we say in unison that we haven't heard of it. Thinking we didn't hear clearly, Marcus adjusts his glasses and says it's about the legend of Sanfu High School's statue running every night. People who see that statue running are forced to run along with it. If they slack off or break the rules, they'll have their heads pierced by the flagpole. It's a terrifying story. He suspects it's a poltergeist phenomenon. Even though there's no typhoon, the flagpole occasionally gets pulled out. This has happened 4 times since the school year started, and supposedly it happened last year too. And a recent incident confirmed that legend. After using the restroom once, he happened to see an incredible scene, a boy being chased by that statue, with a girl with a ponytail following behind. What's even more surprising is that the flagpole, which was fine in the morning, had been pulled out again. More importantly, his detector always showed the statue at red level 5, but after that day it dropped to below level 1. To sum it up, after that day there was nothing in the statue. More accurately, it disappeared. With that, he stops beating around the bush and directly asks if we were the ones racing the statue that day. Seeing us deny it flatly, he doesn't mind at all. Instead, he picks up his detector and touches my body, saying just touching me makes the device reach F level. His conclusion is that the unknown entity in the statue transferred into my body. I swat away his device and ask if this has any scientific logic. But Marcus displays all his equipment, saying they all react strongly to me. Isn't that enough proof? Looking at this guy drawing his own conclusions, I ask, so what? What exactly is he trying to say? Then Marcus solemnly asks us if we're spirit collectors, people who specifically collect spirits. Hearing his outlandish words, I say none of this has anything to do with us anyway. Then I call Khloe to leave, but just as we're about to leave, Marcus plays the video he recorded that day on the spot. The content shows exactly a boy and girl being chased by the statue. When zoomed in, these 2 people are Khloe and me. I stop in my tracks and ask what exactly he wants. He wants to ask us a favor, to go with him to the spirit antique shop. Meanwhile, Ethan receives a gift from a male student. Receiving a gift from a boy for the first time, he gladly accepts it and gratefully asks for the boy's name, but the boy is shocked. How could Ethan not recognize him? Angrily, he calls him a fake and walks away. Ethan opens the box. Inside is a paper doll and a dice. As the box opens, the paper doll begins to burn on its own. It transforms into black mist and flows into Ethan's body. At the same time, I return to class. Marcus got my phone number from Khloe. He keeps requesting that I go with him to the spirit antique shop. I keep refusing him bluntly. Suddenly, the teacher's voice rings out, making me quickly put my phone back in the drawer. The teacher asks whose empty seat that is. This seat happens to be Ethan, the vice class president's. Just as everyone wonders where he is, Ethan walks in through the back door. He smiles and apologizes to the teacher for being late, but strangely, he's even forgotten where his seat is. Only after a classmate reminds him does he sit back down. He keeps fiddling with a dice in his hand. And after class, he even initiates a rock, paper, scissors game with a classmate. 10,000 per round. If you don't have money, pay with your body. After losing once, he decisively pulls out 10,000 and hands it to the classmate. The classmate is shocked and confirms multiple times if he's serious. Ethan says of course he's serious and demands another round, raising the stakes to 50,000. This time, Ethan wins. As the classmate smiles and complains what a shame, Ethan slaps him directly, knocking him unconscious to the ground. The other students are startled by the sudden sound and all turn to look. Ethan opens his mouth and laughs loudly. He points at the classmate on the ground and says, if you're a man, how can you keep throwing rock? Seeing the disturbed expressions on the surrounding students' faces, he says in confusion that they were just playing around. No big deal. He even lifts up the unconscious classmate's hand to show them. He just won 10,000 from him. A student in green accuses him of going too far, but Ethan shows a fierce expression saying, too far? I already gave him 10,000. Should I have fake hit him? We agreed he'd pay with his body. Then he leans forward and asks the student in green if he wants to play. After the student refuses, Ethan mutters what a buzzkill and walks out the door. Seeing his drastic personality change, the boys start discussing that this feels like the opening of a shonen manga. It's also similar to the beginning of an isekai manga. He's probably been possessed and reborn by a villain from another world. The girls speculate that he's probably practicing for an audition at his acting class. The next day, this guy actually starts vaping right in the classroom. A frail classmate nearby tries to warn him that it would be bad if a teacher sees this, but Ethan roars at him so loudly that he's scared out of his wits. The roar is so powerful, it ruptures the classmate's eardrum, causing it to bleed. His close friend Olivia hears about the situation and rushes to our classroom. She pulls him out of the classroom and asks if Ethan really hurt a classmate. And about this vape, didn't he never touch these things before? But Ethan acts as if he didn't hear her and plays with his dice. Then he closes it in his palm and tells Olivia to guess odd or even. Olivia asks him in confusion what he's doing. She's not in the mood for jokes, but seeing him urging her with a smile on his face, she still gives an answer saying it's odd. Ethan grins and opens his palm, revealing 2 dots, which is even. Then he grabs her mouth. He pulls Olivia's entire body close and says since she guessed wrong, she has to pay with her body. Unexpectedly, Olivia slaps him across the face. Then she calls him crazy and hurries away. Behind the scenes, a chubby classmate watching all this reveals a satisfied smile. Marcus, unable to get my agreement, comes to my classroom to visit in person. After entering the classroom, the device indeed emits a stage 5 alert. He excitedly turns his head around, searching for me, but at this moment, a figure bumps into him. The impact knocks his detection device to the ground. At first, Marcus doesn't think much of it when he sees it's Ethan, but when Ethan picks up the device, device, the alarm becomes even more intense, and the sound makes his eardrums tingle instantly. Marcus thinks there's a problem with the device, so while opening his phone app to check, he asks Ethan to call Derek from the class. But when he checks his phone, he discovers that the 3 electromagnetic alert messages from earlier are all requests for help. Meanwhile, Ethan throws his device directly onto the ground. The detection device is instantly smashed to pieces. Then, with a fierce look on his face, he asks Marcus if he's looking for death. If you bump into someone, shouldn't you apologize first? Seeing this, although Marcus doesn't understand the situation, he can only apologize first. But Ethan now tosses the dice up again. Then he grips it in his hands and tells Marcus to guess which hand it's in. Meanwhile, in the science lab, Khloe stares seriously at the tarot cards on the table. According to the divination she just performed, the tarot card drawn is the devil card. So Ethan from my class must be possessed by a ghost. Khloe reminds me that I need to go save our classmate. I keep my head down and say, why should I go? I'm not even close with him. Plus, isn't it a bit unreliable to draw conclusions based just on those cards? Besides, he was quite normal this morning. He couldn't have suddenly gotten possessed. I think it's just his personality. But thinking back to Ethan's previous personality and behavior, compared to now, it does seem quite serious. But either way, it won't harm me, so forget it. After hearing this, Khloe turns her head and says he must be suffering right now, just like she was back then. Having your body taken away is truly unfortunate. At this moment, Marcus suddenly appears and says that Ethan is indeed very kind. Forget hitting people, he doesn't even curse, and he doesn't have the guts to bet with others. Seeing his swollen face, I ask him what happened. He answers that he got beaten up by the ghost, and he mumbles, wanting to say something more. But before he can speak, I firmly refuse, saying I won't go. After hearing this, Marcus loses his previous persistence and smile. Instead, with sincerity on his face, he says he'll never force me to go to the cursed antique shop again. Moreover, he just heard Khloe say she was possessed by a ghost before, so he immediately transfers 50,000 won to Khloe as a down payment. He asks us to save Ethan, and afterward, he'll pay whatever final amount I ask for. But even seeing his pitiful expression, I still choose to refuse. I tell Khloe that if she wants to go, she can, but I won't get involved. Khloe looks at Marcus, who's frozen in place. Then she follows me out of the science lab. If I help, I might get into trouble again. Thinking back to all the previous incidents feels terrifying. Right now, I just want to return to a normal life. After all, I died once that day. From now on, safety must come first. I absolutely cannot get involved with those things again. But at this moment, coincidentally, Ethan appears right in front of me. Looking at him now, I think this personality actually suits him. Either way, it has nothing to do with me. But just as we get close to each other, my hand unconsciously reaches out. Then it grabs Ethan and pulls him over. Under his surprised gaze, I forcibly pull my hand back. Breaking into a cold sweat, I apologize to him, saying this wasn't my intention. But Ethan says it's my hand. If it's not my intention, then whose could it be? After saying this, he throws the dice into the air. Then he catches it with both hands and covers it. He tells me to guess which hand the dice is in. Watching this scene, I can't help but feel it's rather sudden. But at this moment, my left hand unconsciously reaches out. A finger extends and touches one of his fists. The dice happens to be in this hand. Seeing that, I guessed correctly, Ethan pats my shoulder, tells me to be careful, and walks away. But I stare at my uncontrollable left hand, unable to recover for a long while. Arriving at the classroom, I wave my left arm around, trying to figure out what's going on. After several attempts, my left arm uncontrollably strikes at myself. This makes the surrounding classmates wonder if I'm performing some kind of personal talent. I explain to them that my left hand is moving uncontrollably. One chubby classmate says I might have alien hand syndrome. This condition is when one hand moves uncontrollably on its own, as if it has its own consciousness, or is being controlled by some external force. Isn't this exactly describing my current situation? Just as I'm wondering if I recently injured my head, causing a brain problem, a dark shadow behind me raises its hand high, but my left hand instinctively blocks it. The person looks embarrassed, assuming I get beaten up so often that my body can instinctively react. Just as I'm about to explain, he directly asks me to help him find Ethan from the class, saying Ethan has something of his and wants me to get it back for him. I ask him why he doesn't go himself. Wouldn't he have passed by class 3's door when he came here? After hearing this, he shows a fierce look and tells me not to provoke him, just do as told. But hearing his words, my left hand starts twitching again. To prevent myself from uncontrollably hurting him, I grab my own arm and agree. When I walk behind Ethan, I start to hesitate, but Ethan, as if he has eyes in the back of his head, asks if I'm here to make a bet with him. I answer that Vincent wants him to return the thing he borrowed. He picks up the vape and says this is what they bet as collateral. Is Vincent ready to get beaten up, or am I here to get beaten up for him? I say I'm just here to deliver a message. Why would I get beaten up for him? But at this moment, Ethan tosses the dice up without explanation. He grips it in his hand and tells me to guess odd or even. If I guess correctly, he can give me the item. Seeing them betting again, classmates all cast surprised looks. I'm not an idiot, so of course I refuse. The item isn't even mine, so why would I bet? But Ethan's expression becomes fierce. He says the game has already started. Whether I want to guess or not, I have to guess. Helplessly, I randomly say an even number. After hearing this, Ethan reveals an eerie smile. Then he opens his palm to reveal the answer. The dice shows 1 dot, which is odd. Obviously, I guessed wrong. In an instant, Ethan raises his arm backward as if gathering power. But just as the slap is about to land, my left hand moves on its own to block, stopping the strike. Then it makes a flicking gesture toward his forehead. With one flick, Ethan is sent flying backward. The terrifying force makes him crash hard into the door. I watch this scene in complete complete disbelief. The surrounding classmates have the same expression. Breaking into a cold sweat, I try to explain, but the classmates don't give me a chance. They all say no wonder Ethan and I have been acting strange lately. We're preparing for a performance. It's so realistic. At this moment, Ethan also stands up with an eerie look on his face, saying how interesting. Their guess is right. We're laying the groundwork for a performance. This scene happens to be seen by Khloe passing by. On the other side, Marcus is checking around with a new device. When he walks to a corner, the device emits an alert. The source of the alert comes from a box with a character he doesn't recognize engraved on it. There's even a symbol carved on the box lid. This kind of symbol marking is unique to items from the cursed antique shop, just as Marcus wonders how an item from the cursed antique shop could appear here. Olivia suddenly appears behind him. She didn't believe Marcus's so-called ghost detector before, but after the incident with Ethan, she now chooses to believe. Because when she looked into Ethan's eyes at that time, they didn't look human at all. They looked especially terrifying. She asks tearfully why this suddenly happened. Marcus takes out the box with the strange symbol and says he currently has some clues, but they need to verify them. In the blink of an eye, it's after school. I look at my left hand, still unable to figure out the problem. When I flicked Ethan's forehead earlier, he didn't fly out so dramatically on purpose. It was truly caused by my strength. But before I can think more, Ethan suddenly appears and puts his arm around my shoulder, saying he wants to come play at my house. I break free from his arm, saying my house isn't fun and I have a dog that bites things randomly. Angrily, Ethan grabs my arm, telling me to just play one round with him. But the moment my arm is grabbed, the walnut bead bracelet that Khloe's mother gave me takes effect. Ethan recoils his hand as if hurt by something. His soul also seems to be impacted somehow, flickering continuously. Seeing that the bracelet can affect him, I wave my arm around while hurrying home. After I get home, I tell Ancestor Chen about what happened today. Ancestor Chen says it's not brain damage but caused by his power. It's precisely because of this power that ghosts haven't targeted me. After hearing this, I look resentful and say his power attracts ghosts at school, frequently controls my arm randomly, and even hits me. Ancestor Chen sighs helplessly and says that's not my arm. My arm was torn apart by the maiden ghost long ago. Now my left arm is made from the only power remaining in his body, which is the black dragon. His power consists of 4 dragons: red, blue, white, and black. But now, aside from the black dragon, the others have all disappeared, and the remaining black dragon to save me has now become my arm. Although the black dragon is the strongest, it's also the most arrogant. I ask Ancestor Chen what would happen if he took it back. Ancestor Chen says I would become one-armed and asks why I detest this power so much. For a weakling like me, gaining the black dragon's power is definitely not a loss. Just as I'm about to say something, there's suddenly a knock at the door. Meanwhile, after school, Marcus and Olivia follow forum directions to find the cursed antique shop. After Marcus looks around and finds nothing unusual, he opens his backpack to distribute tools. He tells Olivia to stay outside as backup while he goes inside alone. After Marcus enters the shop, he first places a camera on a display shelf, then shouts to ask if anyone's there. An elderly old woman comes out to greet him. At the same time, outside, Olivia stares intently at her phone tablet. Based on the camera Marcus placed, she monitors everything happening inside. Before the operation started, Marcus instructed her that if green lines appear in places where there's no one, she should call him immediately. Inside, Marcus takes out the box and asks the old woman if this cursed item is from here. The shop owner replies, "Yes, so what?" After hearing the affirmative answer, Marcus asks her to tell him how to break the curse. But the old woman says that's the curse caster's job. She only sells things. Marcus then asks if the person who came to buy this box last time was a student wearing the same uniform as him. The old woman says she's very sorry but cannot reveal customer information. Her expression changes as she asks what he's really doing here, prying around since the moment he entered. Marcus seizes the opportunity and says he just wanted to test how tight-lipped she is. He claims a friend recommended this place last time and he's here to buy something. After all, when cursing someone, it would be troublesome if secrecy couldn't be maintained. After hearing this, the old woman takes out a box and a pouch, reminding him that cursed items take effect just from one glance, so even the buyer cannot open it to look inside. Then she stuffs a yellow talisman paper into the pouch. She says if he just wants to play a joke, he needs to tear up this talisman within 49 hours, and then the curse will break itself. Having achieved his goal, Marcus uses not bringing cash as an excuse to abandon the purchase. But the old woman says it's free. She tells him to put his nails and hair into this pouch, then write his name on this paper. Marcus quickly waves his hands, saying he has hereditary hair loss and is receiving treatment, so he can't pull out hair, and his fingernails are too short to clip. Looking embarrassed, he scratches his head and says he'll just write his name today and come back to add the rest when his nails grow. After saying this, Marcus quietly picks up the paper, planning to sign his name, but the old woman suddenly grabs his hand firmly. She says if that won't work either, then leave a blood print and write his name. As soon as she finishes speaking, the shop owner pulls out a short knife from her chest. This scares Marcus into quickly waving his hands, saying he also has hereditary blood disease. He asks if he can take medicine first before pressing his blood print, and asks where the bathroom is. Afterward, Marcus rushes to the bathroom and immediately rummages through his backpack. He pulls out a red ballpoint pen. Then he coats his finger and immediately runs out, shouting for the old woman to hurry. He claims he has a condition where his blood coagulates when exposed to air. The old woman is speechless. Such a young man with so many illnesses. She then has Marcus press his blood print on the paper and write his name. After writing his name, Marcus doesn't play by the rules and opens the paper. He lets the camera on his chest record the names of customers who previously bought things. Seeing this, the old woman snatches it back and demands to know what he's doing. Marcus explains he just wanted to compare and see how his name looks, but as soon as he finishes speaking, eerie laughter echoes from the dark space around them, saying he's lying. At the same time, Olivia calls. She urges him to leave quickly, but at this moment the door suddenly slams shut on its own. Then the surrounding space distorts. Instantly, Marcus's surroundings become pitch black, with voices all around saying he lied. Terrified, Marcus immediately shouts for the owner, saying if this continues he'll call the police. Getting no response, he breaks into a cold sweat, repeatedly asking if Olivia on the phone can hear him. And just as he despairs, a ray of light suddenly appears in the pitch black space. The frail Olivia forcibly lifts up the rolling shutter door. She shouts for Marcus to come out quickly. There are many green-lined figures inside. Hearing this, Marcus's adrenaline surges, and he runs frantically toward the exit. But just as he runs out the door, the rolling shutter door suddenly transforms into a giant mouth. It swallows Olivia, who can't dodge in time. Seeing this, Marcus shouts desperately and helplessly. At the same time, a figure bursts past him. I directly strike that giant mouth with my cleaver blade. The mouth, in pain, immediately spits Olivia out. This scene, which should only appear in manga, terrifies Marcus. In a flash, the cursed antique shop door counterattacks even more fiercely. Sharp hands tear through the metal door. Countless arms emerge from within, surging toward me. I grip my cleaver blade tightly, ready to defend at any moment. Although my left arm is composed of Ancestor Chen's Black Dragon power, the Black Dragon's arrogance means I can't control this power at all. Plus, I lack combat experience. Soon I can no longer hold my ground and am sent flying by a punch from the door. Khloe, who rushes over urgently, shouts my name. Then she pulls out and lights incense from her backpack. I thought that as the witch's daughter, she would surely have some extraordinary abilities, but unexpectedly, she trips on a piece of rubble and falls to the ground. Watching this, Marcus can't imagine how these two defeated the statue spirit. He knows full well that if this continues, everyone will be in danger. He must do something. Suddenly his eyes catch sight of a steel pipe in a corner nearby, and just as I'm wrapped up by extending arms and unable to move, Marcus suddenly picks up the steel pipe and smashes it hard against the arms wrapped around me. The pained arms immediately retract, and I manage to break free from their hold. In that instant, Marcus shouts to run. Afterward, the several of us sprint away from this dangerous place. On a rooftop, a purple-robed masked figure coldly watches our departing backs. After running to a safe enough distance, everyone is exhausted and panting. I turn around, about to scold Marcus and Olivia for their reckless behavior, but I see Marcus bowing low, apologizing continuously. Before he and Olivia set off for the cursed antique shop, he sent Khloe a message. The content was the address of the cursed antique shop, and that he would be investigating. The underlying meaning was that he held some hope, betting that Khloe and I would come, and he happened to bet correctly. Although I value my life and don't want to get involved in this series of troubles, knowing in advance that someone was going to their death, I really couldn't turn a blind eye. So Khloe and I rushed over. Facing Marcus's apology, Khloe doesn't scold him. Instead, with a gentle expression, she says their actions were very dangerous and reminds them that if there's a next time, they must bring us along. After hearing this, Marcus immediately stands up, his face full of expectation, asking if we can really go with him next time. He extends his hand, saying let's get along well from now on. But seeing this, I slap down his arm, complaining that there isn't a single normal person around. After a while, Marcus curiously turns his attention to my cleaver blade. He tries to touch it but discovers a layer of white light reflecting on the blade. He pushes up his glasses and wonders if this is a barrier. It seems only the chosen one can hold this blade. After saying this, he extends his hand and mumbles a string of incoherent incantations, trying to see if he, like me, is a chosen one. But at this moment, Ancestor Chen arrives just in time, saying it's a cleaver blade. Although what Ancestor Chen says sounds like human language to Khloe and me. To those without spiritual energy, it's just dog barking. So to Marcus, a little dog just popped out and startled him. After saying this, Ancestor Chen's form collapses exhausted to the ground. Khloe, carrying a water cup, hurries forward to check on him. After seeing this, Marcus also finds it very strange and asks if this is my family's psychic dog. I can't be bothered to explain, and simply respond that he's right. After a while, Olivia finally wakes up. Just regaining consciousness, she looks terrified and gestures wildly as she describes what just happened. This girl is truly badly frightened. After she calms down a bit, Marcus analyzes all the current clues. Although the video recording was affected later because ghosts interfered with the signal, the important things were captured. Based on recent purchases and the box he found at school, he's certain the curse caster is Felix from the list. So, according to what the shop owner said, we must find Felix within 49 hours and tear up the talisman in his hands. About 15 hours have passed since Ethan's personality change. Time-wise, it's still sufficient, but everything must be dealt with by tomorrow. Although Ancestor Chen wants to help, unfortunately his power is completely gone, so he suggests conveying the current situation to the witch, Khloe's mother. The call connects. After the witch learns the whole story, she says very seriously that this is an extremely dangerous curse technique. The talisman must be burned immediately. Just watching the video gives her a headache. She says the owner we encountered is called the Childless Ghost, a spirit medium ghost who creates servant demons from human souls. souls, whether it's the space constructed from antiques or those trapped ghosts, as well as the names of the living written in the registry, the soul-stealing contract plus the curse master's talisman. Whether it's the child casting the curse or the cursed child, neither will likely escape unharmed. After 49 hours, the body will be completely taken by the ghost. The child's soul will be trapped in the curse master's talisman, and at that point there will be no way to save them. However, one thing worries her. If the talisman is destroyed within the time limit, the possessed child can return to normal, but the soul of the child, who cast the curse, will go to the spirit medium after death. After hearing this, Olivia curses that the curse caster deserves it, but the witch still reminds us to bring the child who cast the curse to her, and emphasizes that the talisman must be burned within 49 hours. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ethan arrives at the cursed antique shop. Seeing the shop owner's severed arm, he can't help but cover his mouth and laugh, asking what happened to her arm. But what the spirit medium ghost says next makes his smile vanish instantly. She says children wearing the same uniform as him came here. Their purpose was to save the owner of his body, and one of them is quite extraordinary. After hearing this, Ethan casually picks his ear and says that person must be Derek. After all, I'm the only one who can win bets against him, and with just a flick, I sent him flying. In his view, I'm not human at all. After hearing this, the spirit medium ghost scolds him to behave recently. Only after 49 hours can the body and soul separate. Ethan says he's afraid those people will burn the talisman, but the spirit medium ghost tells him she already told them to tear up the talisman. Ethan shouts at her in confusion, asking why she told them how to deal with the talisman. The spirit medium ghost clutches her arm and says humans appear calm on the surface, but are actually quite cowardly, so insurance must be added to sign the contract. After saying this, the spirit medium ghost grins and says, isn't he the same? Besides, people nowadays take curse techniques lightly, so they easily forget or genuinely hope for others' downfall. After hearing this, Ethan asks angrily how she can guarantee it, but the next second, red threads extend from the spirit medium ghost's body. One of these threads is also connected to Ethan's navel. She says these little brothers and sisters of hers are the best proof. Even if the talisman is burned, he won't be eliminated. He'll just return to her. After saying this, the spirit medium ghost's expression darkens instantly. She asks if he doesn't want to stay by her side, and just as the atmosphere between them becomes tense, suddenly a white power ripples through the surroundings. The masked figure who was observing from the rooftop earlier appears here. Soon the next day arrives, and we start inquiring about Felix's whereabouts in every classroom, and I happen to find him in class 1-2. At first, Felix is calm, asking what I want with him, but after I mention the talisman, he suddenly shoves my body aside. He sprints toward the outside corridor. I didn't expect a chubby guy to be so agile, and after running for just a bit, I already feel exhausted. Fortunately, the others hear the commotion outside and rush out too. After learning the running, chubby guy ahead is the target. Olivia directly chases after him at a 100-meter sprint speed of 13.8 seconds. At the same time, Marcus shouts loudly at him, when you bought that thing, did you give the owner your hair and fingernails? Do you know you'll die? That's a contract agreeing to offer yourself to a ghost. After hearing these words, Felix freezes in place. Olivia grabs his collar and roars at him to take out the talisman if he doesn't want to die, but Felix still refuses to believe it at this point, until Khloe, the witch's daughter, steps forward and says they're not lying. As long as the talisman is burned, everything will be fine. Felix lowers his head and asks with a gloomy expression if doing this will make Ethan recover too. Olivia tells him that's right, everyone will recover, but after hearing this, Felix reveals a very eerie smile and chooses to refuse, saying he'd rather die than let Ethan recover. At the same time, on the other side, the spirit medium ghost opens the contract registry. The word bet under Felix's name suddenly disappears and appears on the spirit medium ghost's forehead. In Felix's view, if Ethan recovers, he might as well die, because he believes Ethan is a complete and utter hypocrite. At the beginning of middle school, Felix was the temporary class president. At first, he didn't care about Ethan, who only fooled around with classmates in the back row. He was certain such a student must have poor grades and didn't understand why he could be in the same class. But when the official class president was elected, the support for Ethan clearly exceeded his own, making him grit his teeth in resentment. Although Ethan told everyone it would be better to let Felix continue as class president, in Felix's eyes, this was mockery. The voting results unsurprisingly showed Ethan winning by a landslide. Classmates even mocked that of the 2 votes he got, one was probably his own. He trembled with anger, believing this was just a popularity contest. The ability to properly fulfill class president duties should be the key point. Why could a guy who just fooled around in the back row become class president? He believed these people who didn't care about substance took away his opportunity as a joke. And when Ethan took first place in the class on the entrance exam, his mental defenses completely collapsed. A guy with good grades, good looks, and money right in front of him. He couldn't believe such a person really existed. And thinking about it now, because Ethan knew he would be chosen, he acted indifferent in front of classmates. He must have been mocking Felix in his heart. This hypocrite always deliberately acts like like a good person in front of everyone. After hearing this, everyone unanimously agrees this is jealousy from not becoming class president himself. But Felix roars that what he's about to say next is the real point, and this reason is absolutely absurd. After entering high school, Ethan simply forgot his name. After hearing this, everyone doesn't understand how this reason can be a standard for judging hypocrisy. Olivia says bluntly that he just hates Ethan. That would actually make more sense. Besides, who does he think he is? Why must others remember him? Marcus also says Felix left out something very important. After that, didn't Felix transfer schools? Who can remember someone who transferred away right after school started? He adds that he was also in the same class back then. Does Felix even know him? It seems Felix simply hoped Ethan was a hypocrite and has been forcibly pinning accusations on him from the start. At this moment, Felix says through tears that regardless of whether that guy is a hypocrite, he should disappear. Otherwise, this world is completely unfair. He worked so hard, yet Ethan so easily obtained everything. Olivia says tearfully that he doesn't understand anything. Ethan has always worked twice as hard as others. Because he's been hated by others before, he's even more afraid of being hated. But even so, Felix still feels it's completely normal, saying Ethan is definitely trying to become an actor, building a good image and preventing being smeared, so he works hard to maintain that pretense. Facing Felix, whose heart has been completely twisted, everyone looks at each other for a moment. But at this moment, I step forward and say he's right. It is indeed unfair. But so what? If Ethan disappears, will his situation improve? Will the world suddenly become fair? Don't be ridiculous. Actually, nothing will change. You'll continue to see people like Ethan in the future, and each time you'll repeat this meaningless act. If you miss the deadline and cause Ethan to disappear, you'll essentially have killed someone. Although Ethan's body will still be here, you'll have erased the original him from this world, and you'll probably return to normal life as if nothing happened. That's what's called hypocrisy. Actually, Felix had thought about tearing up the talisman before, but he worried his face had been seen and feared Ethan would seek revenge after recovering. Plus, he believed Ethan deserved this, so he gave up on tearing the talisman. At this moment, Felix covers his face and says painfully what can be done now. I say as long as he hands over the talisman, everything will return to normal. After hearing this, Felix resolutely rummages through his pockets for the talisman. But as the spirit medium ghost chants an incantation, his consciousness seems controlled by some entity and he freezes in place. Then he completely loses consciousness and falls to the ground. When he opens his eyes again, his gaze becomes dazed. He continuously mumbles that he needs to return to Mother. Then he gets up and shoves Olivia aside. He leaps toward the 18th floor window. When Felix regains consciousness, he finds himself already suspended in midair. His face instantly turns deathly pale and he struggles continuously. At this moment, I pull his arm with all my strength. Felix shouts in terror for me to save him. He doesn't want to die. I grit my teeth and say I know, telling him not to move around, but his body weight makes it impossible for all of us to hold on. Just as I'm about to fall down with him, my left arm's black dragon power suddenly activates. In an instant, it pulls him up. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief. I turn around furiously and ask Felix why he suddenly jumped out. Felix says it wasn't his own will. Someone suddenly commanded him to jump. Khloe tells him not to say so much for now. They should burn the talisman first. But suddenly seeing the mark of the cursed antique shop on his neck, everyone is terrified, and the mark suddenly becomes active at this moment. A burning temperature causes him immense pain. Olivia tells him to quickly take out the talisman. Felix doesn't dare delay and immediately pulls the talisman from his pocket. Seeing this, Olivia snatches it away. She pulls out a lighter, wanting to burn it right here, but the lit lighter is suddenly blown out by someone. Then he sings "Happy Birthday." When everyone sees him, they all show terrified expressions. The person is Ethan, whose body is occupied by the ghost. Seeing this, Felix and Marcus restrain Ethan. They tell Olivia to quickly burn the talisman, and as the talisman gradually burns away, Ethan indeed falls to the ground with a thud. Just as everyone thinks it worked, Ethan gets up and grins, saying Ethan died yesterday. Everyone is shocked and can't believe their ears. Marcus asks Felix in confusion if he really gave them the real talisman, but Ethan shows a strange expression and says that was the real talisman, but it's useless now because he's no longer connected to it. Marcus's trembling body keeps checking the footage, trying to find the problem, but Ethan grabs his collar and says, does he know that before this body's owner disappeared, he was desperately searching for him? And now, I will soon send you to reunite with him. It turns out that yesterday, the purple-robed masked man appeared at the cursed antique shop and made a deal with them. He helped the spirit medium ghost remove the 49-hour restriction, allowing the ghost inside Ethan to directly occupy his body. And what he wanted was that strange child who came here before, Derek.